welcome. In this video, I want to take a couple minutes to apply context to the language that surrounds this very problematic idea as to what defines a dog training process. And the language that you'll hear attached to this idea is positive reward based. And understand that all these trainers use this language. Those who identify as balanced and those who identify as force-free dog trainers, because they are all in agreement with what I call the big lie in the dog training world. And what's the big lie? The big lie is that training is a learning-based exercise once a relationship problem is already underway between a dog and their owner. And with how trainers are bribing, dogs to respond at the very beginning, again, once a relationship problem is underway, and how this sets in motion a counterfeit picture by way of response for many. So again, when you talk about, I talk about this language, positive, understand this is just pervasive. This is attached to this idea. So again, when you're doing, when you're going online and you encounter that language, positive, well, how great is that? I mean, I can jump into a process, I can reward all over my dog. I can get a dog to respond. And understand that, in terms of just how appealing this looks, understand this is the problem in the dog training world. But this is the way you have to look at it. Okay, number one is these trainers who are doing this aren't telling you just how common it is for people to fail, to blame dogs. I mean, I watched the video here just a couple days ago from a balanced trainer, talking about having that conversation about when you should, euthanize your dog due to unresolved behavioral issues. So understand something here. This is common, whether it's balanced or force-free. This is a common thing that happens as a result of how this idea is applied, not approaching training for what it represents, a intervention. Again, I talk about the solution by way of a interaction-based method. But again, getting back to this language, positive reward based, how you want to see it, because this lines up almost perfectly by way of the parenting example. It's no different than dealing with a relationship problem between a parent and a selfish child. And again, if you want to understand what parenting style lines up with this very popular idea through its application, well, it's the permissive parenting style. But it's no different. This positive language would be like dealing with a very selfish child, and using treats, but in this case using something the child wants, the treat is, as I would say, a brand new Xbox game. If they agree to, because of their bad attitude now, they're not so agreeable anymore about sharing and getting along. But if they agree to, getting along, they're going to get, whatever it is that they really want. So how you want to think about positive is saying, well, it's a positive, rewarding experience for the child. And then the agreeableness part of that, it appears like, it's working. It appears like, we got a certain moment happening, by way of coming into agreement with, but completely out of context, by way of the reality of the relationship itself. And then not even connecting dots properly in terms of, the parenting style, the parental role, the motives that underpin those responses. Nothing. So understand something here, and understand that 99% of dog trainers out there are doing this. This is their jumping in point. I mean, you have to understand just how bad this really is. So understand that when you hear this language, when you hear the words learning, when you hear teach, when you hear positive reward, run the opposite direction. Do not engage. Don't do it. because you're putting yourself in you and your dog in great jeopardy of a counterfeit picture of change. Okay, understand that. And so when the chips are down, when the counterfeit picture happens, guess what both these groups of trainers do? They blame the dog. Okay, I want to be very clear about that. They blame the dog. So again, my encouragement is to steer clear of those who are approaching a relationship problem as a learning-based exercise, because this is hardwired into dog trainers. It's like, how can I get this dog to respond so I can assume, because that's what they're doing, and wrongly assuming that those responses can be trusted the way that they're set in motion that way. Instead, you should be thinking, no, okay? The motivator, okay, the motivation, you want to think differently about what motivates. The motivation is the relationship itself, okay? It's a social connection. It's a dog's desire to, connect at that level. I mean, that's the motivation. And then what you want to align yourself with, attached to it, because again, it's important that control, influence is part of the equation, especially, okay, here's the thing, once a relationship problem is underway, understand that changes everything. Just like once a child has become selfish, it changes everything. Okay, so understand that the motivators of the relationship, the change part of it, okay, is the interaction part. Okay, so again, just really encourage you to think about that. If you have questions, okay, contact me. If we can do a consult even. Very helpful to be able to speak to me one-on-one, either as a trainer, as a dog owner. But understand, the dog training world is a complete disaster, okay? It is. And you're not going to get the truth from these trainers, because guess what? It's a rigged game. They're making money off of this. Understand, like the blame shifting is part of the culture. Like blaming dogs and just moving on, that's part of the culture. You wonder why there's so many dogs in shelters, and why dogs get returned to shelters, and why dogs are euthanized because of having that conversation because of unresolved behavioral issues. Well, that's it. So again, if you have questions, contact me. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thanks for watching.